to my channel. Today's video I'm going to be showing you guys how I make my son's baby food in bulk and how you guys can too. This video is going to cover how I prep, cook, store, thaw, and serve my baby food. It's also less expensive. About every jar of baby food is around $1, whereas a bundle of bananas is about $1 and some change, and that can make up to like 6 jars of food. It's really simple to make too. All you're gonna need is a blender or a food processor. We're also gonna need some Ziploc baggies and something to hold all of your frozen foods in. I personally am using a cupcake tin, a silicone cupcake tin. Any kind of silicone mold is super easy to use because you can just pop the frozen food right out. So that's all I have to say about baby food, so let's just get right into the video. Alright, so I'm gonna start off with fresh fruit. I'm gonna start by pouring water into a large pot. I'm gonna put in just enough to cover the bottom. I'm gonna let that come to a boil while I prep my apples. I'm gonna wash mine as best that I can. I'm going to leave the peel on because it gives it more nutrients. Then I'm gonna cut them up and I'm gonna set them aside. And then when the water starts to boil, I'm gonna put them into the pot. So I'm using about 10 to 12 apples, and I'm using quite a lot of them because apples are a great fruit to add to other produce. And that's the great thing about making baby food. You can really just mix whatever you want. There are no rules. So after I put them in the pot, I'm just going to put the lid back on and I'm gonna let that simmer until I know that they're done. I'm gonna give it about 10 to 15 minutes. And then to check if they're done, I'm just gonna stick a fork into them and watch them slide off, and that will mean that they are ready. So for bananas, you don't need to steam these. All I'm gonna do is chop these up. I'm gonna put them in my NutriBullet and I'm going to blend them. Be a little bit thick, so I do like to put a little bit of milk in it. And then I like to store these in the silicone molds too and put them in the freezer. So that's how I do my fresh fruit. I usually use more frozen fruit, and I'll get into that in a minute. But right now I'm gonna share with you guys fresh vegetables. So you're gonna repeat the same process with the vegetables as we just did with the apples. I had a hard time getting the wax off of the zucchini, so I'm just gonna peel the zucchini and then I'm gonna chop it up. I'm using a smaller pot because I don't have as much, and I'm going to bring that to a boil. I'm doing the same thing with broccoli. I'm just cutting off kind of like the harder cuts of them, and I'm setting those aside. And once I cut all of my broccoli, I'm gonna put that into the bigger pot because I do have a lot. And then I'm going to repeat the same process of just steaming all of these vegetables until they are soft enough for them to fall off of a fork. Okay, so now onto frozen fruits and vegetables. Personally, I think these are the easiest because you don't necessarily need to steam them. You can leave them out to thaw for about 3 to 4 hours. Or if you don't have the time, you can microwave them or you can steam them. So when my fruits and vegetables are now thawed, I'm gonna go ahead and just put them into the blender. The fruits end up becoming more of like a syrup, so I will use these in yogurt, or even if I decide to use baby cereal, or if you are using baby cereal, this can be a good way to add some flavor to it. All right, so now that everything is blended, I'm gonna go ahead and start adding them into these silicone molds. I have this mini cupcake silicone mold from Target, and the frozen food just pops right out. But because I made so much baby food, I had to use a metal cupcake tin, and all I had to do was put some oil on a paper towel, and then I just made sure to put it in every single little tin. That way when they come out of the freezer, I can just easily pop them out with a fork or a knife. baby food in the freezer can last up to 6 months if you do store it properly, or it can last up to 3 to 4 days in your refrigerator. So because I made so much food, I actually didn't have enough molds. So if you're in the same boat where you only might have 1 tray or 2 trays and not enough, you can go ahead and put the extra food like I am. I have squash and carrots left over, and I'm gonna put those in big freezer bags and put them in my fridge. So the next morning when I pop out all of these baby foods, I'm just gonna snip off a little corner of the Ziploc bag. That way it's so much easier to just squeeze all of the baby food into the tins. And then I'm gonna go ahead and pop those ones in the freezer. So while those ones are freezing, I'm gonna start labeling my baby food. I have all of these freezer bags. I'm going to label all of the bags, what the food is, as well as when I made them and when they will go bad. It's so important to do that so you know when these foods expire. And then I'm gonna go ahead and pop those ones in the freezer. Alright guys, that is it for today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed this. It was actually a lot of fun to make. If you did, make sure to share it, give it a like, and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.